Yes, sir. So, a very warm good morning to all the respected faculty members. And today we are into the day 3 of this ASTTP program organized by Sun Hills College of Pharmacy and sponsored by AACT. And we are into this phase 3 of this STTP on preclinical and clinical aspects in molecular neuroscience. And I hope you all had a wonderful days of day 1 and day 2. And we are believing that the objectives of this STTP is being partially fulfilled, and we trust that it's been completely a better one by the end of our day 6. So we are into this day 3, and today we have our expert speaker, Dr. M. Satish Kumar sir, and sir is an IQAC coordinator and HOD of Department of Pharmacology, Bapatla College of Pharmacy, Bapatla. And today, sir is going to deliver a talk on behavioral neuroscience research and the trends in Andhra Pradesh. Sir, it's an immense pleasure to have you on this platform, and also I thank you for accepting the invite. And to do the honorary introduction, I request my dear colleague, Mrs. Shivagami Madam, to just introduce the achievements of Dr. Satish Kumar sir to respected faculty members. Madam, it's over to you, and kindly do the meet. Thank you.
Yes, madam. Yes. Good morning, one and all. We welcome you all for today's session. I am Mrs. B. Shivagami, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Pharmaceutical Analysis. Today, I am very proud to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Satish Kumar. Dr. Satish Kumar is IQAC Coordinator and Head of the Department of Pharmacology at Bapatla College of Pharmacy, Bapatla, Andhra Pradesh. Dr. Satish Kumar received his PhD in Pharmacology at Acharya Nagarjuna University, Andhra Pradesh. Sir completed his M.Pharm in Pharmacology and B.Pharm from Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University, Chennai. Before joining the faculty at Bapatla College of Pharmacy, Sir was a program coordinator for pharmacy and health program at Texila American University. Sir was an accreditation panel expert for Higher Education Authority, Ministry of Higher Education, Republic of Zambia. Sir has received in university bodies and committees such as Governing Council, Board of Studies, Academic Program, Accreditation, Research Ethics and Quality Assurance. Sir is a recipient of 3 national awards for his research in malnutrition and industrial effluent management. His research interests lie in the areas of preclinical neuropharmacology and pharmacoepidemiological studies. Sir has authored quality research papers and book chapters in the area of preclinical and clinical pharmacology. Sir has so far received 4 research seminar grants from UGC, AICTE and ICMR. Sir has experience and expertise in accreditation and academic audit related activities of higher education institutions. Thank you. I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Satish Kumar, sir. Sir, please take over the session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shivagami Madam, and welcome to you, sir. You just continue with the session.
Yes, ma'am. So I hope you are able to see the screen. And my voice is audible. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfect. We can continue.
So I would like to thank Seven Hills College of Pharmacy for giving me the opportunity to speak on this particular AICTE sponsored short-term training program on molecular neuroscience. And I have watched all the 3 sessions on the first day of this 3rd phase. It was very interesting and it was very useful. I attended 1 session of yesterday, and I have chosen a particular topic that is on behavioral neuroscience research. what is the current trend in Andhra Pradesh? What sort of research is going on? Who are the researchers who are involved in this behavioral neuroscience research? And that too specifically on preclinical side. So though I have given the title as behavioral neuroscience research, the contents will be all related to preclinical side, not to the clinical side. So as you can see in this slide, I'm the IQAC coordinator as well as I am the HOD of Department of Pharmacology at Bapatla College of Pharmacy. Okay, so let me straight away go into this presentation. So if you ask me whether I'm an expert in this particular topic on molecular neuroscience or its related areas, my answer is no. I'm not an expert. I'm still a beginner and I'm working to improve my knowledge or skills in this particular area. So what is that which is very much related to this particular topic? What skills I have or what is that I have done so far in this particular area? In my master's, I had an opportunity to do my master's project work in the Torrent Research Center, Gujarat, and I was a trainee there. During that time, they were developing animal models for subarachnoid hemorrhage. So most of the faculty members who are attending the sessions, who are interested in this particular area, you might be knowing in stroke, the most common type is cerebral ischemia. And most of the preclinical research will happen towards that particular side only because 80% of the stroke cases is related to cerebral ischemia. Whereas there is another 20% in stroke, cerebral stroke. That area is called as hemorrhagic stroke. So the rare opportunity what I got during my master's time is that I was involved in the development of animal models for subarachnoid hemorrhage. Subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is usually around 5 to 7% of the total cerebral stroke cases reported. And the name of the model is itself is related to that. Most of us will be knowing about the middle cerebral artery occlusion. That is for cerebral ischemia. And I had an opportunity to work with middle cerebral artery perforation. Perforation where we can cause bleeding into the brain tissue and then we can create cerebral hemorrhage or subarachnoid hemorrhage. So that was one aspect which I am connected to this particular topic. So I have a very hands-on experience on developing cerebral hemorrhage or subarachnoid hemorrhage animal models, maybe around 16 months. And our job was also related to that. And after that, when I came here to Andhra Pradesh to do my PhD work, so I wanted to increase my skills in this particular line only. So in my master's also, I took stroke only as my major area of research. And even in that one also, instead of concentrating on cerebral ischemia models, I did my PhD work on subarachnoid hemorrhage model only. So that is the another important phase where I work more in deep in this particular area. So that is my second connection with this particular topic. So for more than 6 to 7 years after my PG, again I worked on hemorrhagic stroke. And after that, after this PhD work, we established this behavioral research lab, especially related to Alzheimer's, and specifically concentrating on the instruments which are related to the in vivo studies for learning and memory or nootropic activity. So we had some around 7 to 8 equipment or instruments which are related to learning and memory process, different types of mazes, and uh, in 2 institutions where I have worked, and presently where I am working. In both these institutions, I had that interest of developing a basic behavioral research lab with emphasis on screening of drugs for learning and memory activity. And the area which I'm consistently trying is to get a smart video tracking system instead of going for a semi-automatic one or the manual mode. We wanted to make it as a complete one by having a smart video tracking system. But personally, I have a target that I need to get that instrument only through grant, and I don't want to make my management to spend for purchasing that equipment, though it is costing around 3 to 4 lakhs approximately if it is an Indian model, and if it is a standard one from a international manufacturer, it could be a few more lakhs more. But my target is whether it is an Indian video tracking system for mazes or whether it is an international brand. I wanted to get that particular video tracking system only through the help of funded projects. So for that, I am waiting and I am consistently writing grants related to that particular area. So this is the brief introduction of how I am associated with this particular topic. And again, I'm telling you, molecular neuroscience area is a very bigger one, and it's an ocean, and only I am very much related to Alzheimer's, and next to with stroke, and mostly with users of mazes, how to screen the nootropic effect of drug substances. That is my area of research. Okay, so this picture, what you are seeing, is something to say that every one of us is just a beginner. No one can say that I'm an expert or I'm excellent in this particular area, and that's the reason why I hear that right from the senior faculty to the youngest faculty, whoever is related to this particular neuroscience, whether they are from pharmaceutical analysis or whether they are from Sutix or from Pharmacology, whatever department, whoever is interested in these areas, molecular neuroscience, that's why you are attending, and that is the reason why I am also listening to these sort of presentations. Okay, so whatever I'm presenting here, it's all not the expert views. It's just my personal views, and whatever knowledge I have gained, I'm just sharing with you people. Okay, so allow yourself to be a beginner, and no one starts off being excellent. That's the theme. And what is that I want to talk about? I have 4 things to discuss with to all the participants. The first one is that what are the things we need to learn from the experts? This is a general idea, and I want to give 3 case studies. And these 3 case studies I actually took from the first 3 sessions of this program. So I listened completely to all the 3 sessions of day 1 of this phase 3 of this AICTE sponsored STTP program, and from that I developed 3 case studies which I want to share, or what I have understood about their presentations. And the third important aspect is something which is relevant to my topic. What is the actual trend in this molecular neuroscience, especially in preclinical research in Andhra Pradesh? And along with this particular theme, I also want to highlight how can we find an article, or how can we find a potential collaborator for our research which is related to molecular neuroscience. So that will be one of the core aspects of my today's presentation. And of course, because we are speaking all these things related to research, I just wanted to give a simple checklist taken from an article. And I have modified that checklist of the research proposal so that whoever wants to do any sort of preclinical research related to molecular neuroscience or neuroscience in general, they can use this checklist. They can get themselves prepared for writing a research proposal, not only for any funding agencies, even for their PhD purpose as well. So these are the four aspects which I will be discussing it today, and I'll go to the next one. Now, this is something which I want to share. This is from my understanding. This is my personal view, and we all are beginners. And I told you we are not experts in this particular field, and therefore, as a beginner, we have to always listen to the experts who have already proved themselves in this particular field. So with that point of view, I have been working for the past 13, 14 years, and even on the day one, when I listened to all the three sessions, I was just looking curiously to those experts, what point they are sharing, what is that new thing which I am trying to get out of their presentation. So actually, I took the lead from their three presentations. So through this particular slide, I want to introduce to the participants what is that we need to know from the experts. So I'll start from this one in this cycle. So let us start with the first one. Let us identify something. What is that we need to identify? First of all, we have to identify who are the experts related to my research area. So I need to identify who are those experts, how to find them. So some 2-3 years back, we used to attend seminars. We used to go for some national or international level conferences. We used to attend workshops, something like that. So we go there, and then whenever we participate there as a delegate, we will always like to see who are the resource persons, where are they from, which type of organizations they are representing, whether they are representing the government research laboratories, whether they are representing the private companies, or whether they are representing the universities, whether they are representing some of the leading private pharmacy colleges or institutions. That's what we always look. And after seeing their names and their associated organizations, we always have that curiosity to know what sort of research they are doing and what is the significance of their institutions. So this is how we actually identified the resource persons or the experts in our area. And because of COVID, suddenly there is a huge opportunity for all of us. And from last March 2020 to this June end, we had enough number of lectures from the experts, and we had an opportunity to listen or see them through our mobiles. And of course, we can say that during this 2021, we have almost become tired of listening to so many lectures. So that many number of lectures are happening, and now we are able to choose which one we need to attend. Like that many opportunities are there, but to be remembered, we cannot neglect anyone's contribution. So as much as possible, we have to find some time and then to listen to at least to those lectures, or we need to attend those sort of trainings, online trainings, which are relevant to at least to our area of research. So first of all, we need to identify our research area. Then we need to identify who are the experts in that particular field. And we have to identify where all these experts coming from, whether they are representing government, whether they are representing the companies where we are trying to find jobs, whether they are from academic institutions or whether they are independent researchers. So we have to look out for all these people. So then after identifying the area of research and the institutions who are doing that sort of research, then what we need to do? The next thing I will recommend is that we have to start listening to them as much as possible. Then we have to follow them. We have to follow them. Follow them in sense because of COVID and because of other limitations. Following means not directly following. So we have many ways to follow them. And one of the best tools to follow is to effectively make use of the social networking sites, especially Facebook and LinkedIn. These sort of social networking sites, we can effectively make use of it, and then we can either get to know about them, get the updates, what they have been doing or what they have been publishing, and and also follow them continuously. Now and then, whenever they do some achievements, whenever they impress us by something, then we always just keep a message that, okay, sir, good work. You are inspiration for us. Like that simple message. You can always put to them, not just wishing them on birthday, not like that. At least professionally, we can follow them. And once we start listening and then following them, then if we get an opportunity, then try to meet them. So again, the opportunity now is to either to reach out them by using WhatsApp, by uh, talking with them through the other social media platforms. We can always do, and then we can uh, follow that. And after meeting them through direct or indirect mode, that is online or offline mode, then always ask them about what is special or what needs to be done in that particular area, and whatever doubts you have on that particular area, or what sort of an expert advice you want to get from them. So ask everything right from basic to the most advanced questions. Whatever you have, you ask everything to them, and learn from them. So by whatever means they are giving their research outputs, try to follow each one of their research outputs. See what is their patents, see what is their research publication, see what is their research presentations. So like that, there are different means of research outputs, book chapters, books written by them. Okay, so try to follow all their research outputs and try to take the inputs from them. Of course, when I say this COVID has given more opportunity for us to follow them online, but we cannot neglect the direct hands-on person-to-person interaction which we have been doing 2 years back. So it's like two equal opportunities. Whenever you get an opportunity to meet them, ask them, or learn from them directly, when you are able to learn by hands-on, discuss certain things person to person, of course that will be the most perfect opportunity to learn. But because of any reasons, when we don't have that opportunity, and because of some limitations, we are only able to meet online, still make use of those platforms very effectively, and then try to get their expertise. So meet, ask, and then learn from them. This is the next strategy. And now, once you meet them, ask them, learn from them, and once you show your commitment to them, once you showcase your skills to them, so somehow you try to impress, and try to make sure that you do some sort of a collaborative research work with those sort of experts. When I say experts, of course, without any levels or priority, it takes government research institutions, it takes the leading private universities, and then private colleges, accredited institutions. And it's not just related to pharmacy alone. We need to understand, whenever we have a research interest, or whenever we are towards an area of research, it's not just only the pharmacy related institutions are doing this. We can always collaborate with those people who are from other fields also. For example, you can relate with arts and science people, you can relate with engineering people, we can relate with agricultural people, we can relate with medical people. And since it is preclinical research, we can always collaborate with veterinary people. Like this, many fields of researchers are there. So we can collaborate with everyone and not limit ourselves only with the pharmacy researchers. So this is one particular thing which I want to share here. So we need to collaborate with these sort of experts, and after collaborating, not just doing some research, we need to showcase our research output. We have to bring out something. We have to bring some research output. It can be anyone. It can be a publication, it can be a presentation, it can be a patent, it can be a product, it can be an exhibit, it can be a book chapter, it can be any form. It can be a video tool for providing an awareness for the other fellow researchers. So try to bring out your research output in any form, in whatever way you are very much comfortable. Only when you showcase your research output to the outside world, then you also get the opportunity to work with many more experts. You can always continuously improve your skills. Otherwise, you will get satisfied with whatever you learned or whatever you have, and then you will keep quiet. It's not that way. We have to always improve in each and every step. Okay, so collaborate, and after collaborate, you try to showcase your research work in the form of publications, presentations, or patents. And the last one, you identified, you followed, you learned, you collaborated, and you showcased yourself. Then is that sufficient? No. What is that we need to do? Irrespective of your experience, whether you have learned a simple thing or whether you have learned the most advanced thing, whatever may be, you try to always share it with other people. So it's not that you have to wait until you become an expert and then to go and share something with others. It's not that. Even you have learned a very small thing, a very basic thing, but if you know that this basic can be helpful to someone, don't think that, don't hesitate or don't feel shy that I'm not an expert, why should I share this? Will they consider my advice or will they consider my information? Don't take it in that way. Whether they take it or not, if you have an opportunity, go and do it. So the last important aspect is try to motivate people. Try to motivate people. Try to teach someone. Try to train someone. Try to provide some hands-on experience to someone. And if you are not able to motivate, if you are not able to teach or train something, at least support them morally, okay? So I'm there, I'm interested, at least saying that I am listening to you. When you say that I am listening to someone, they'll feel happy, they will try to express themselves. So motivate, teach, train, and try to support in whatever way possible, especially the students and the young researchers in that particular field. So when you do that, automatically you also learn from them and you share your experience with them. So this cycle is not something which starts with identifying area of research or identifying the experts in that field. It doesn't start there and then end with motivating, teaching, training, or supporting the rest of the people. It doesn't stop there. It's a cycle. This cycle has to run continuously until we breathe the last breath in our life. This cycle has to go on. If it goes on, at some point of time, you will feel happy that I have done something, I have achieved something. And like that, at least we will get self-satisfaction at the end. Okay, so this is a custom-made diagram from my experience or the information which I want to personally share with my fellow participants. Okay, now, as I was telling, my second agenda or my second concept is that I have listened to all the three presentations of the first day of this STTP phase 3, and I told you that I want to make some case study from their three presentations. Of course, I have not taken their permission. I am not um, supposed to use their data without their support, but at least I consider that because it is for educational purpose, and it's of course for motivating the other people. So I want to highlight some of the important features about those researchers who spoken on the first day of this STTP. So my first study will be with the help of Dr. M. Ramanathan sir, who was the resource person on the first day. And he's the principal of PSG College of Pharmacy, Coimbatore. And I want to highlight some points here. Okay, so I know him, though he doesn't know me, but I know him, I follow him. And when I looked into this PSG College of Pharmacy website, then I found that, okay, so especially sir, who is also the HOD of that department. The Department of Pharmacology in PSG College of Pharmacy is focusing on neurosciences and neurodegenerative disorders, and they are giving also equal importance to cancer research, so which you can always find from their website. And I have seen that they have got many funded projects for their institutions altogether, but Ramanathan sir alone, means as a investigator or in the capacity of a co-investigator, he himself is involved in different capacities for around projects worth more than 4.25 crores. So it may not be accurate. I have taken some figures from their website. So it has to be more than this, maybe not the updated one. It has to be more than 425 crores worth of funded project Sir has done as an investigator, as a co-investigator related to neurosciences, neurodegenerative disorders, and cancer. And this institution also has some of the quality research instruments. And one of the most impressive one for me is the stereotactic device. So the other name is stereotaxic. Some companies call it as tactic and some call it as stereotaxic. So what is the use of this particular one? It's mainly used for the stroke research, especially when you want to damage a particular part of the brain tissue. So you can directly drill through the skull of the rat or the rodents, and then you can inject the rodent's blood, its own blood, and then you can cause some sort of a hemorrhage, or you can cause some sort of an ischemia or vasospasm in the brain tissue of the animals. So a very branded a stereotactic device from RV or WD Life Sciences. And there are many other instrumentations, ELISA, Reader, PCR, and many other for histopathological studies and other things. So this is one thing which impressed me. And I, of course, it's not for this presentation. I already know about the facilities available in this institution because one of my good friend was working earlier in this particular college, and it's one of the premier institutions there. And one thing which I wanted to highlight from Sir's presentation is most of us who are involved in preclinical research, we would like to always concentrate on in vivo models, and very, very less number of people, they get involved with in vitro models, in vitro preclinical models. So Sir was expressing that they have the facility for performing both in vitro models as well as in vivo models, and he was highlighting this particular point there. It is OGD/R, which is oxygen glucose deprivation with reperfusion model. And in vitro technique, of course, we need some sophisticated equipment for that. And he was also explaining some of the in vivo models with an abbreviation of BCCAO, and also some researchers refer it
காத்தே
as.
வரலப்பா, உள்ள உட்காரவே முடியல. கரண்ட் பவர் கட். நீ ஃபுல் பவர் கட்டப்பா? தெரியல.
Okay, I think someone.
Sorry for that, sir. Some participant has turned on the mic. That's it.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So he was expressing about in vivo models, and he was also speaking about cerebral ischemia. And from their publications from their website, we also know that in cerebral ischemia, they also do middle cerebral artery occlusion models as well. So one important point I learned, or which I want to emphasize to my fellow participants who are listening to me, is that try to identify the opportunities for in vitro, standard in vitro techniques for screening of drug substances. In this case, maybe OGD with reperfusion. So this one particular point I wanted to highlight. When you want to go for a quality publications, when you do with these sort of molecular level studies, or when you do with these sort of in vitro based studies, there is a very less competition, and there is a very high chance that your paper may be accepted in a very high quality journal. So this point I wanted to highlight. That's why it is marked red. Okay. And of course, as the other content of my presentation, what is the trend, or what is the opportunity we people who are there in Andhra Pradesh, the researchers who are working in these areas related to molecular neuroscience, what sort of an opportunities we can get from the presentation from this particular expert? The opportunity what we have is that we can always look for a collaborative research with these sort of expert. So we can always think of working with Dr. Ramanathan sir and do some collaborative projects, or institution like Seven Hills College of Pharmacy, which has all the accreditation and has the autonomous status. Whenever you want to write a funded project, you can always collaborate with an expert like him, okay, and you can always make it. So it's just an what is suggestion only. And of course, the other opportunity for the other researcher is for a PG project, or for a PhD work, or for your independent research. Whenever you want to do some preclinical work, you can always reach out to these people for the purpose of consultancy research. You can pay them, or you can provide all the necessary chemicals and other things, and get their permission, and then you can also visit that sort of an institutions, and then you can always do a consultancy research for your PG, PhD, or for your independent research activities. So collaborative and consultancy research opportunity is always there to explore from this particular institution or from this particular expert. Of course, this institution is a premier institution in Tamil Nadu, and it also provides an opportunity for the researchers to do their PhD work in their institution. So whoever wants to try to do their PhD, they can always go and approach them, and then they can do their PhD in this sort of institutions. And also these institution, at least in a year, they regularly conduct some quality workshops related to preclinical research, because they have enough number of expert researchers in this particular area, and they have all the facilities there. And because they are associated with medical college, they also have a good other clinical support available. So you can always try to participate in the trainings, especially hands-on training or workshop programs conducted by this particular institution. So you'll get some idea for your research work. And of course, other than all this, simply at least you can speak to him, or you can speak to the expert from this sort of institution and get their advice, or you can always clarify your doubts. in this particular areas wherever they are working. So this is something which I wanted to highlight from sir's presentation. Okay. Now, my second study or my second observation is from the second speaker of day one, Dr. Astos Kumar. And when I searched for his profile, I found that he earlier worked with NIPER Hyderabad, and I'm not sure, but I'm sure from Hyderabad he moved very recently to NIPER Kolkata, I think so. But whatever maybe, like we look into his research point of view, and then I found that from his profile, he is very much interested with the diabetes and diabetic complications. Especially from his lecture, I understood that he has a lot of publications on diabetic neuropathy, and that's what he was also focusing on that particular day. And he was touching many molecular level studies which are done by their institution, of course, because it's a institution of national importance. So definitely they have all the facilities there, and it's not the facilities available whether you're utilizing that facility or not. That's the different scenario. So since he has the experience both with NIPER Hyderabad and Kolkata now, so molecular level studies and his expertise was very much useful. And he also has the expertise on peripheral neuropathy. And through his profile, I came to know that he has already carried out some projects worth more than 2.25 crores related to these areas: diabetics, diabetic complications, peripheral neuropathy, etc. As an investigator, as a co-investigator in all these capacities. And he was emphasizing one important point on diabetic neuropathy. And he was also speaking about STZ induced condition. And one important point that he highlighted is that we need to do some behavioral assessment, and we have to do some functional assessment, and we also need to do some biochemical analysis, and we can also do some protein expression studies related to this particular model. So the point which I highlighted here is, what we do is a researcher who is working for a regular private pharmacy college who doesn't have that much of instrumentation facility, what we do is, when we look for an article from a standard journal, we find mostly they will be of molecular level, something like that, and they might be using some sophisticated equipment, they might be using some genetically modified animals. So there are certain limitations for certain researchers who are working for a regular private pharmacy college, and in some cases in other institutions as well. So whenever we see such articles, we think that, okay, they have evaluated these parameters, but I find that we cannot get these animals, we cannot use this many number of animals, or we cannot evaluate these parameters. So what we do, out of the different parameters which we are supposed to evaluate, we restrict ourselves to those parameters which are possible or only affordable. So we limit ourselves to that, and we even don't try to explore whether we can do this other parameters which are very much necessary to prove that activity. Can we try it as a collaborative research? Can't we try this as a consultancy work? We never even attempt for that. So here, why these premier institutions like NIPER, BITS, BHU, or all these premier institutions, why they are able to get quality paper? Of course, they have the facility, and they have their expertise, qualified people are there. Of course, everything is okay. But we also have to find out some possibility. We need to find out some opportunity through some means, by collaboration or by consultancy or by some means. And then we try to do some sort of an analysis which is very much meaningful to that particular activity which we are climbing. So only when we do relevant behavioral parameters, when we do relevant functional assessment, when we do all the required and relevant biochemical parameters, and when we do some protein expression studies, of course, with all the limitations, whatever we have, then definitely it's not that we have to be there with the NIPER or with BITS or something like that to have a quality publication. From anywhere we can do, whether we are an accredited institution or whether we are a non-accredited institution, if we have the mind, if we have that interest that I need to do some quality work, somehow the way will be there and we can always achieve that. So the point why I marked here as red is that in order to have a quality research output, we have to do relevant and recurred analysis for each and every type of study which we are performing. And then he also said, though he has done many research work from NIPER Hyderabad or from NIPER Kolkata, still he has also done many activities with the hot plate method and tail immersion test. This doesn't cost much. Of course, there are certain international brands where even this hot plate method or tail immersion test itself is costing a few lakhs. But still, with whatever hot plate method we have in our Indian models, still with that also we can efficiently do. And there are many people who also publish the quality papers. So it's not that everything you do at the molecular level, you can also do with simple in vivo screening methods like hot plate method or a tail immersion test. So this is another point which I want to highlight from sir's presentation. Okay, and what sort of an opportunities we can have, how the researchers from Andhra Pradesh can benefit from this sort of an expert. Of course, he also, because he is representing the government institution, we can always think of a collaborative or a consultancy research work. And institution like Seven Hills College of Pharmacy, when we engage them for an expert lecture or a webinar for this STTP, we can continuously be with them, be in touch with them, and then try to involve in our research proposals, into our research committees. And it's not just with Seven Hills College of Pharmacy, because they are organizers, I'm telling that, and everyone who is also listening to these sort of experts presentation, we also have an opportunity to go and discuss with these people and then do some collaborative or consultancy research work. And of course, many PG students would like to do it from NIPER. And of course, when you want to do some PG or a PhD level work, NIPER as a common institution, as a government institution, it's nowhere a competition for us. It's a part of our higher educational institutional setup. So then we can always motivate students for PG or PhD work in NIPER. And of course, we can always get expert advice for our research work. And like every speaker at their end or at the beginning or at some point of time, they share their contact details. If at all, if you find that they are very much useful or they can help you in some way, you can always note down and you can always reach out to those people. And there is no harm in asking this sort of expert advice. Okay, so this is my second study from the second speaker of the first day. And now the third study is from Dr. Mahendran Shekhar, who was the third speaker, and he represented University Kuala Lumpur. And I have a very good personal friendship with him. So the research areas which he provides is that he has experience and he has the required skills for extraction, isolation, and characterization of active constituents, mainly from medicinal plants. And he is very much interested in developing formulation of natural products. And he's also, though he's a chemistry person, but I know that he's very much also skilled in pharmacological activities, especially for the compounds isolated from medicinal plant. This is one particular area where most of the pharmacological researchers will be looking for, where I can get the support for isolation of compounds, uh, characterization of compounds. Where is the facility available? Who are those experts who can help me? So he is one such person who can always help you in that particular aspects. And from his earlier presentations, which I have listened, and based on my interaction with him, I know that he has done a lot of achievements related to herbal formulations, and then he has developed many cosmetic preparations, and he has won many awards internationally. Especially, he has got many awards in the Malaysia where he is currently working, and he has also got patents related to these sort of formulations. So, whenever we have an opportunity to listen to him, always, whenever he shares that I have a presentation for so and so college on so and so topic, whatever work I have, I keep that work aside and then I try to listen to his presentation, because from every single presentation of him, I try to learn something, because he provides three important features for pharmacology. He gives some insights from medicinal chemistry, especially from formulation of natural products, and he doesn't stop with extraction, isolation, or characterization. One special feature about his research work is, after characterization and after publishing his data, most important thing is he converts that into a formulation, or he converts that into a product, and then he tries to get the approval for that as a product. So if he has developed a herbal formulation, he doesn't only publish data, he tried to uh, make it as a formulation, and then he tries to commercialize that. And he has shown many examples of those cosmetic preparations which he has developed, and then he is in the process of commercializing that with the help of their students. And every time he used to say that whatever research output I am bringing, it's all because of my students. So they are the actual people who are involved. I'm just helping them to complete that particular work. Okay, so that is one important thing which we need to learn from him. And when I gone through his profile and what sort of projects he has done, and what is the worth, it's not just about the figure, how much crores he has achieved or something. May not be, the number may not be accurate. It was around 3 lakhs or 27,000 Malaysian ringgits, which he has quoted in his profile. I converted that 3,27,000 odd Malaysian ringgits into INR, and I got this value of around this 6.5 crores or something. Maybe I might be wrong, but he is worth of it. And for the researchers in Andhra Pradesh, what benefit we can get, or what sort of an opportunities we have with him. Now we have an opportunity to collaborate internationally. So this is the best opportunity which he is providing. He is open for collaborative research, of course, because it's also a medical university there in Malaysia. They have their own administrative formalities, but consistently when you engage such people, make use of their expertise, and when your institution also show that commitment that we are also looking forward for a quality research, a fruitful research, then sooner or later we have the chance of collaborating with these sort of international experts. Not only experts, you can always collaborate with the university which he is representing. And for a autonomous NBA NAC accredited institution like Seven Hills College of Pharmacy, it will be much easier for you to approach such a university in Malaysia to collaborate and he's such a person who is very helpful and who is very much reachable at any point of time to help us. And of course, you maybe also have a good relationship with him, but it's my personal suggestion which I am sharing with you. And of course, for our students or for the faculty members, uh, for an independent research or for your PhD research, whenever you want to do, or there are many funded projects where we can collaborate as an higher education institution in India. We can always collaborate with an foreign university, and when you have a foreign university very close to India, and they also have proved experience with that, there is very high chance that our proposals may be accepted. So for PG studies for students, for PhD work for faculty as well as young faculty members, or for their part of their PhD work for senior faculty, or for any independent research, we can always approach these sort of institutions or these experts. And of course, like the other national experts, we can always have them as an international expert and for many other activities, and we can make use of it. So one important point which I want to emphasize from Sir's presentation is, as a researcher who is doing herbal based research activities, don't just stop with extraction, isolation, characterization, publishing quality papers. Convert it into a formulation, convert it into a product, and try to bring some commercial value. Commercial value means whether it is going to be a very big hit hit formulation or not. It may or may not happen, but you make a sincere attempt to bring out a formulation out of it, and then try our level best to commercialize it, so that when we do it continuously, at some point of time, we will succeed in this. And he is such a person who is an example for formulation, development, and commercialization of such formulation. Okay, so this is one important point which I want to highlight from Sir's presentation. And this is the major part of my presentation. How can we find an article, or how can we find potential collaborators? So, of course, we come to know about some people through these webinars. We come to know through our personal contacts. So we get some people. So how much percentage we can say? We can know few people related to our area to a maximum of 20 to 30%. The remaining 70% of the experts, how do we find them? How do we find them? Or how can we find a good quality article related to our area of research? So as a faculty members, most of you will be knowing about this concept. There is a concept called Boolean search and something like Boolean operators. And whenever we search for an article, or whenever we search with a keyword, we use the word or we use word and we also use not. So there is something related to it, and I'll try to show it with the help of a demonstration. Okay, instead of saying it clearly, I will just show it as a demonstration in the next 10-20 minutes. So just search for what is Boolean search if you're not knowing about it, how to effectively use this Boolean operators in the search engines, and how to get our data very easily. So just I'm giving the lead, search for Boolean operators. Now, the other important aspect is that we can get the relevant article, or we can identify the potential collaborator. We can identify the potential collaborating institution through certain sources. The first source of getting the articles, identifying the potential collaborators or institutions who are doing this sort of research, both nationally or internationally. The first source is journal search engines or journal search databases. And some of the reputed or most trusted journal search engines or databases are listed. And out of many, we have PubMed, we have Science Direct, we have Scopus, we have Web of Science, we have Springer, we have Ovid, which is from Wolters Kluwer company, and there are many other search engines. We also have something like ResearchGate, we have something like Google Scholar, but these are something which are more reputed, and there can be much better than this also, but at least we can get whatever we want from these sort of journal search engines. Why I have highlighted PubMed and Science Direct? Because without institutional logins, without subscriptions, we can directly find articles into this. Some of the articles may be open access, some may be paid one, but at least we can at least get some idea, abstract, or in some cases we can even get a full text article freely downloadable. And the other reason why I have highlighted the first two is that I wanted to practically show to some people how to use the Boolean operators in these two search engines. That's my purpose. And if you are already having an idea how to use this Boolean operators in these set of search engines, it's okay. But I just wanted to give some trial to those people who are not aware of how to use this Boolean operators. And from where else we can get the information regarding the article or a potential collaborator. So we can always look for the company websites. We can always look for the company websites, and we can also visit the institutional websites. Institutional website means you can open Naipur Mohali, see what is there inside. You can look into Banaras Hindu University, you can see what is there in Punjab University. So like whatever premier institutions we know, or whatever pharmacy colleges we know, whether it is accredited, non-accredited. So irrespective of any such things, we can always open and then see what sort of research activity they are doing, which areas they are considering, who are those experts. So we can always look into that. And I have mentioned one word here, CPCSE registered establishment. And some people might have seen this document. There is a PDF document which can be downloaded directly from Google in the name of CPCSE registration list. So what is there? Every single institution or every single organization where an animal house is there, or wherever an animal research is carried out, all the institution or the organization names are mentioned in that particular list. Okay, so what is the usefulness of that particular list? Anyone who wants to do a preclinical research, they can get some information from where actually this preclinical research are happening. You can know about the institutions, you can know about the industries where preclinical research are there. You can simply get that information. And another usefulness of this particular document is it clearly gives you the address also, and it very clearly says where is this company located, because it is an establishment. This establishment will have a very clear address. You cannot mention the corporate address name. You have to actually show where that animal house facility is located. So it's very easy to identify the company's name. You can identify the institution names right from the government one to the private organizations. So we can effectively use this to get an idea. Wonderful source of information for those who are looking for jobs, who are looking for collaborative research, who are looking for experts, very easily obtainable. And of course, other than this list, you can straight away type animal house facilities. You can find out those companies where this preclinical research is being carried out, commercially or non-commercially, and you can always go and see their websites. And I also mentioned the other college because I was also listening to Kumar sir's lecture on the day 2, and I'm just trying to highlight one indication. It's not that I'm showcasing this particular college or I'm highlighting this college, not in that way, because similar to that of the first 3 case studies, this is another one more case study you can take. And the facilities, the expertise available in this particular college also is very much relevant to our theme. And that's why I wanted to highlight. So you can individually see in the college websites or the company website, and then you can get the information, what sort of research is being going on, and what are the products they have developed, what are their research outputs, all those things. And how can we find the potential collaborators? So you can also find a potential collaborator or the institutions where the opportunities are there for preclinical research, even from job search engines. Though you are not looking for job related matters, but still by searching in these sort of job search engines, you can identify where this particular type of preclinical research is happening, where preclinical neuroscience research is happening, where Alzheimer's related studies are happening, what sort of models they are using, what are the qualifications required for them. So these things you can always get from this particular sites. So job search engines are not only for job search, it is also for many other purposes if we make use of these engines very effectively. And most importantly, we have social media, social networking sites, and every one of us are highlighting the importance of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very, very effective tool nowadays. Many HR representatives or many HR managers of leading companies, they are looking for LinkedIn profiles. They are looking for LinkedIn profiles. Okay, and through the same LinkedIn, you can always find the potential collaborator. You can see what are all the current trends in your area of research, who are those experts related to that, which are the premier institutions which are doing that. So you can always get all this sort of information from social media networking sites. So it's not just LinkedIn alone. You can effectively use Facebook, you can use Twitter, you can use Insta accounts, and you can use many other social media tools. It's just a representation which I have given to make sure that within one slide I can show everything together. Okay. And fourth one is something which I said earlier. Fourth content which I want to say is I want to give a checklist of a research proposal which can be used for preparing a research proposal. And before I acknowledge, I would also like to quickly share, for next few minutes, I would like to share some of the important documents. I hope you are able to see the screen. The screen is loading. Is add instruments visible?
Yes, sir.
So you can see this is one of the leading preclinical instrument supplier. You can find one important tool here, something like NIBP system. NIBP system is used for non-invasive blood pressure measurement. This particular device will cost around 3 to 4 lakh rupees. We can use it very effectively for antihypertensive drug screening. And a paper generated out of a study done with the help of NIBP systems from add instrument or something like this will make your paper more standard, and there is a very high chance that it will be accepted by the reputed journals. Okay, so add instruments is one of the important thing. And what else you can get from these sort of research instrument companies, okay, or the suppliers? You will get a lot of data regarding publications related to those sort of equipments. So there will be many events which are happening or being organized by these sort of companies worldwide. So when they conduct such quality events in India, they will always introduce this new equipments in those events. So if such events are happening in somewhere in Andhra Pradesh or in Telangana or in Tamil Nadu or in Bangalore, very near to us, try to make use of the opportunity, go and see what is that instrument, how to use that particular instrument, and we can see and observe all those things, and whenever we have a chance, when we know about that instrument, then we can always write a research proposal better when we know about these instruments. Okay, so now the next one which I wanted to share is similar to add instrument. There is another one more called PanLab or Harvard apparatus, as you can see in the screen. As you can see in the screen. So related to my title, you can see under behavioral research, there are many sub-themes are available, just like video tracking, pain and analgesia, attention and impulsivity, operant conditioning, anxiety and depression. So different themes are there. Now you can choose which one will be more easier for you, which one will be very much rewarding for you. You can select such theme and then you focus on that particular theme and then try to do all your activities relevant to that particular theme. Say for example, when there are these many number of themes available, I am very much interested towards learning and memory. So in behavioral research, though I have an idea about all the other models as well, but I mainly target learning and memory models. So if you click on this learning and memory, there will be many equipments related to learning and memory. Just a quick glimpse I will show you. So you can see what is the current animal models or the names of the equipments which is used for learning and memory assessment. See here, a delayed alternation task using T-maze, Y-maze, fear conditioning test, Morris water maze test. So what is that information you get from this particular site? Very clearly it tells for evaluating learning and memory, which model is used worldwide. Very clear information will be there. Just if you click on this particular read more, it will give a brief description of what are the parameters to be measured, what is the name of the instrument, what is the design, everything it will give you. And it will also give some reference articles for each and every related equipment or that particular model. And the most important point is these are currently in trend. These are even now used worldwide. Only then this company will market that products. So this is another one more useful information where you can always get it from a preclinical research instrument supplier or a manufacturer. Okay, and when you have free time, when you look into these sort of sites, you get a better understanding about that particular instrument. When you write a research proposal, it will definitely give more meaning to your research proposal. Okay, now the next important site, as I told you, PSG College of Pharmacy, and straight away I'm opening Department of Pharmacology. You can see here what are the instruments available with that particular institution. You can see ELISA reader with spectrometer, all this, electrophoresis. So as sir has mentioned in his presentation, they have all the facilities both for in vitro screening as well as in vivo screening. I was explaining about the stereotactic apparatus. I can show it over here, a stereotactic device from a branded company or WD Life Sciences, surgical apparatus, infusion pumps. There are many, many things. And you can see the publications, and you can see Dr. Ramanathan sir's, what do you say, fundings, whatever he has obtained, and what are the funding agencies. What is the usefulness of this particular data? You know, these experts, under which areas they were able to get this particular grant, it will give you an idea. So we cannot simply copy this particular idea. Simply if we copy also, we are not going to get the grant. But at least a researcher, a middle level researcher or a senior researcher, when you look into these sort of titles, you will get to know what sort of projects are generally being approved by different funding agencies. Of course, we should have the expertise to claim that I want this grant. But to get an idea, only when you continuously search for such information. You'll update yourself, and sometime later you will get the benefit. Just a sample. And now regarding Ashutosh Kumar sir, so he is now representing NIPER Kolkata, but his profile was found in NIPER Hyderabad. I'm just showing it. Sometimes it may be wrong, but you can see here, we can come to know about what sort of projects he has got. And see here, as he was speaking, everything is related to diabetes, diabetic neuropathy, neuropathic pain, something like this. So what's that? He is very clear that his area is diabetes and peripheral neuropathy. So he focuses only on 2 areas and he excels in it. So this is another one more lesson which we have to learn as a researcher. It's not looking into so many areas. Just focus on 1 or 2 areas. Try to get hands-on skills, and sooner or later you'll become an expert researcher in that area. And now for the University of Kuala Lumpur, Dr. Mahendran Shekhar. So you can see here, so this is from his side. One important information which I wanted to share over here is, see the researcher identity profile. He has created his researcher identity profile in Archid, Academia, Myrid, ResearchGate, Researcher ID, Scopus. So these are some of the leading researcher identity. There are many things like that, Publons or other things. For India, there is even a Vidwan site is there. So there are national and international reputed researcher identity profile databases. If you want to create this profile, you should have done some research. Only when you look into the other people, how they have done, what sort of research, we'll get motivated. Sooner or later, we also will have a very good profile from this. So this is one important lesson which I wanted to highlight from sir's profile. Okay. And as I told you, I want to quickly show how to use the Boolean search. So this is the PubMed search engine. Most of you may be knowing, but some may be interested to know. Just go to advanced search and type, for example, stroke, and then select and or not. So for example, I'm showing and. So I have selected the word stroke. So it is appearing here. So it is appearing stroke here. Now I'm searching for the second word. I'm looking for Andhra. Okay, so this is my second word. Now I'm searching for the articles, both for stroke and Andhra. Now you see here in PubMed, there is only 4 results. 4 results. And you can see here, all these are full text article because I have used a filter called a free full text. If I remove this option, there will be many more. Likewise, I have filtered the article from 2009 to 2021. Likewise, it's up to you. You can always use whatever tools you can. And I have selected only animal data, so only 4 are appearing. So now what is the usefulness of this? Now just click on this particular article. You will find a cerebroprotective activity of so-and-so using global cerebral ischemia. Now, what is the other important information? You can find a collaborator who is not in other states. You find a collaborator within your own state. Okay, just expand here. Click expand here. You find a collaborator here. Okay, Department of Pharmacology, University College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Acharya Nagarjuna University. Okay, so this is very simple. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm getting late.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. We have
No problem.
5 more minutes time.
Oh, yeah.
So please continue.
So this is one way we can find the potential collaborator. You can find a relevant article and the institution where your area of research is being carried out in your own state or in our own state. This is one of the effective tools. Same thing with Science Direct. There also you can use the same thing by advanced research. And in Panacea Biotech, you visit a pharmaceutical company and then see what sort of job roles are there. I will show you an example here. Like there is one job profile here, pharmaceutical research development. The position called senior executive for pharmacology research. The place is Punjab. So what is that? You know that there is a job opportunity related to neuroscience research in Panacea Biotech. The unit is located in Punjab. So very clearly it shows where all the opportunities lies. What sort of animal models, if you get expertise, you will have a job prospect. This is one simple example for it. Okay, so this is something which I wanted to highlight with people. And quickly, last 1 minute, I will show you that document. So you find the CPCSA registration list. You get to know about all the institutions or organizations where all the preclinical research is happening. You will have a complete address also, so you know where all the opportunities lie. So you can use this particular opportunity. And now, the last part, I want to acknowledge the organizers of this STTP program from Seven Hills College of Pharmacy. And I would also express my sincere thanks to my management, Bapetla College of Pharmacy and Bapetla Educational Society for giving me this opportunity to speak on this particular topic. I hope I have given some of the insights, not as an expert researcher,